Aaliyah Farrow remembers the doctor who sent her to another doctor after learning she identified as queer. The doctor who would not treat her was a woman who specializes in women's health. For Ree Ledgerwood, it was a doctor advising about things like pregnancy prevention. Ledgerwood was designated female at birth, but now identifies as transgender and does not have sex with men. Transgender people have a gender identity different from that designated at birth. For Tim Keyes, it is when doctors thought he was sexually active with women. But he had no interest in having sex with women. When he was 17 years old, Keyes announced that he was gay. Ask any LGBTQ patient about their experiences with doctor visits, and chances are they will have an unpleasant story to tell. The term LGBTQ is short for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer. When doctors think all of their patients are heterosexual, those who identify in other ways can feel ignored. They also are less likely to seek medical care. This can lead to health problems, including high rates of depression, suicidal behavior, alcohol and drug use, and ineffective health screenings. That information comes from LGBTQ advocates in the United States. But changes are coming to the medical field, these advocates say.
For example, the American Medical Association, or AMA, promised in November to push for a federal ban on conversion therapy. The treatment attempts to turn members of the LGBTQ community into heterosexuals. In addition, U.S. medical schools are expanding education on LGBTQ health issues, and some schools are pushing to have more LGBTQ medical students. Research shows that patients often get better care when treated by doctors who are more like them. Farrow, Keyes, and Ledgerwood are part of that movement. They are all studying for careers in medicine. Farrow is a third-year medical student at Harvard University in Massachusetts. She told the Associated Press that LGBTQ doctors should be treated like other members of the medical community. She also thinks LGBTQ patients should get the same quality of care other patients get. Increasing LGBTQ student enrollment in medical schools and training in LGBTQ health issues can help reach those goals, advocates say. Exact numbers of these medical students and doctors are unknown. In 2018, the AMA added sexual and gender identity to the information members could choose to include on their profiles. Of the 15,000 doctors and students who have volunteered that information so far, about 4% identify as LGBTQ.
In autumn of 2019, Harvard's entering class of medical students was 15% LGBTQ, a high rate that is no accident. Harvard asks students if they want to be identified as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer. An answer is not required, but the choice sends a message that you're wanted, said Jessica Hallam. She works with LGBTQ students at the medical school. We know that doctors need to look like and be part of the communities they serve, Hallam said. We have gay Muslim students, lesbians from China, students who are survivors of conversion therapy, she said. They are now out and very proud gay people, and they are healing those wounds. In the beginning, Aaliyah Farrow planned to present herself as heterosexual in medical school. She feared that making the truth known would cause patients to dislike her and make her feel different from the other students. But Harvard has an active LGBTQ student group and teachers who ask students what their chosen pronoun is. It also has classes dealing with LGBTQ medical care. During a recent visit to one of Harvard's sister hospitals, Farrow was happy to see some patients there with their same-sex partners. She said doctors who were training her smoothly asked about people's lives and were at ease when learning patients were queer. All are important steps, Farrow says, toward offering non-judgmental, patient-centered care.
The Association of American Medical Colleges reports that while most schools offer LGBTQ courses, half reported 3 or fewer classes, group discussions, or other learning activities. And a study of medical students, published in March 2019, found a serious lack of knowledge on LGBTQ health issues. Carl Streed was the lead writer of a report on the study. He is a doctor and an associate professor at Boston University's medical school. Streed said that a bad experience with a doctor 15 years ago, when he was sick, made him want to join the medical field. When he told the doctor he was gay, the doctor became very unfriendly and then suggested HIV testing, left the room, and never came back. Streed was a young student at the time. Testing elsewhere showed he did not have the virus, but no one suggested tests for infections more common among college students. And he never found out what his sickness was. Streed said doctors' personal beliefs should not affect their quality of care and kindness toward patients. Tim Keyes started attending Stanford University's medical school in 2015. Back then, LGBTQ health issues were only discussed in one unrequired class that had low enrollment. But now, expanded coursework is part of the required study program. 2 years ago, Keyes was among 6 students at 4 universities who created the Medical Student Pride Alliance. The group now operates at 31 universities across the United States. Its aim is to get more LGBTQ students into medical schools, push for more informed coursework, and improve LGBTQ medical care. I'm Jill Robbins.
And I'm Alice Bryant.
A new report says the spreading coronavirus could make the world economy shrink during the first 3 months of 2020. If confirmed, it would be the first quarterly drop in economic activity since the international financial crisis more than 10 years ago. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, released a special report on the effect of the virus Monday. The Paris-based OECD advises developed economies on policy. The report said the world economy is still expected to grow both this year and next year, but the OECD lowered its estimate for international growth in 2020 by 0.5 percentage point to 2.4%. It said the growth rate could go as low as 1.5% if the virus lasts long and spreads widely. The new coronavirus has caused more than 3,000 deaths worldwide. In addition to the human suffering from the virus, the report said that economic prospects remain very uncertain. The last time the world economy shrank on a quarter-on-quarter basis was at the end of 2008. At that time, a shock to financial businesses caused problems for companies around the world. Many people lost their jobs. The world economy continued to shrink through 2009. The OECD said China's reduced production is not only hurting Asia, but also companies that depend on Chinese goods. The report urged governments to act quickly to prevent contagion and bring back people's confidence in economic conditions. It also said that the effect of this virus is much greater than past outbreaks because the world's economy is more interconnected. China, it added, has a lot more effect on trade, financial markets, and tourism. China's viral outbreak has already caused problems for international supply chains. Chinese manufacturing fell in February as antivirus controls had an effect on the world's second-largest economy. Chinese factory activity fell to its lowest rate and to its lowest level on record. That information is based on studies by a business magazine, a government agency, and an industry group. Chinese factories supply the products and parts for most of the world's smartphones, household goods, and other products. In China, sales of houses, cars, and other big purchases fell in recent weeks. The Chinese Communist Party has tried to calm investors, industries, and workers. The government has cut tax rates and offered aid to businesses. Economists, however, are worrying about the future. If the virus spreads, people will stop traveling, eating at restaurants, and going to stores. There may be large quarantines. Thierry Breton works for the European Union and oversees the EU's markets. He estimated Monday that the virus has cost Europe €2 billion this year because of a decrease in tourism from China. Many expect the situation in Europe will worsen. The virus has struck Italy, and events like the yearly Venice Carnival have been canceled. Investors seem to expect central banks to lower interest rates to help the economy. Experts, however, say that will not solve the problem. Lower rates can help people and businesses borrow and spend money. That can help push up economic activity. But lower rates cannot make sick people healthy. It also cannot reopen factories whose workers are kept home because of quarantines, or restart supply chains in areas affected by the outbreak. I'm Susan Shand.
Japan has been collecting snow this winter to be used to help cool areas during this year's Summer Olympics in Tokyo. But lower than usual snowfall this year has forced officials to rethink the effort. Some of the work has taken place in the mountain city of Minami Uonuma in Niigata Prefecture, north of Tokyo. Workers have been trying to collect and store snow to bring by train to areas where Olympic soccer and basketball events will be held. The snow is supposed to be used to cool buildings. Organizers also plan to give out the snow to Olympic visitors as they arrive for events. Summer temperatures around Tokyo often rise to at least 40 degrees Celsius. Organizers are also planning to use misting machines and water stations to keep Olympic attendees cool. The use of snow to cool structures is not new in Japan and some other countries. In Norway, for example, the country's airport in Oslo uses snow collected and stored during the winter to cool buildings in the summer. Usually, the mountains in Niigata receive some of the heaviest snow levels in Japan. But this year, snow amounts dropped sharply. They could end up being the lowest since record-keeping began in 1981. The information on snow levels came from Japan's meteorological agency. Mutsumi Seki is helping lead snow collection efforts at the Minami Uonuma project. Seki told Reuters, "We had to change the snow-gathering site from last year to an area where we can expect more snow." So far, the city has only collected 1,400 cubic meters of snow. That is lower than the 2,000 cubic meters it collected last year when it tested the workability of the plan. Snow depths in areas along the Sea of Japan fell by as much as 15% a decade in the years between 1962 and 2016. Those numbers come from a 2018 study by Japan's Ministry of Environment. Michael Mann is a professor at Pennsylvania State University. He told Reuters that the climate changes in Japan are part of a much larger pattern of unusual warmth around the entire northern hemisphere this winter. Mann added that he believes this pattern is connected to human-caused planetary warming. Masami Yashima runs a resort in the city of Nagano, which is next to Niigata. He also said he believes that global warming is causing the drop in snowfall. There's very little snow, about a third of what we get here every year, he said. It's very painful. Officials in Japan's northern city of Sapporo are hoping to bring the 2030 Winter Olympics to that city. Sapporo hosted the Winter Olympics back in 1972. This past December and January, very little snow fell in the area. Then, in early February, it finally arrived. A winter storm dropped about 34 centimeters of snow during a period of just 6 hours. Local officials welcomed the snow, but they continue to watch the weather very closely as they prepare for a possible Olympic award. One weather expert told the Associated Press he thinks the lack of snow, followed by the large amount falling in a short period, may also be a sign that the local climate is changing. We often have this kind of event, said Dr. Tomonori Sato, a professor at Hokkaido University. However, the magnitude was abnormal. This is maybe because of warming temperatures. I'm Brian Lynn.